Hi. Okay, so the true cost of compartmentalization. I've been thinking about compartmentalization a lot. I think all of us are born for a certain reason, right? And you all along the way, um, after we get over the fractures of our childhood and we find song, dance, and story to fill the gaps. We sit down to figure out why we're here, and it can't really be about everything that we're told we're here for. So what's the deeper context? I think one of the deepest things I'm here for is to unlayer, is to not have layers, is to live as openly as possible, what's and all, and to put all the mistakes out there. Like, just put it out there, right? All the mistakes that you made, just put it out there and see what happens. How much can you be crucified just because you admit to be truthful? And of course, no matter how truthful you are, there's still a layer to it. So let's just be mindful of that. So this actually started when I was really young, and I used to notice the elders around me, my grandparents, my parents, and I used to see this. They used to be male, female, rich, poor, casteism, personal, professional, at home, at work. That kind of compartmentalization, which is very visible, even to a child, a 3-year-old could actually pick it up. And when I was watching it, I was like, what is this? Aren't we like one person? And what is this versions of ourselves we have put out there? And what is really happening? And it was not very attractive. And I just happened to, even at that young an age, I would end up meeting somebody who was not that, who was not compartmentalizing. And these people were very attractive then, and they are attractive still. And they were attractive because they could just kind of be everything they were at all times, in any circumstance, and that in itself made them a little bit of a Sufi, a little bit of a sadhu, a little bit of a higher being, just because that level of vulnerability is not easy to carry. There's a cost to it. The moment you decide to be vulnerable, there is a cost to it. The moment you decide to not put on fronts, there's a cost to it. Because when you put on these guards, you're also boxing yourself, and you're unattainable, right? People who live in compartments essentially are definitely seeking love and approval, and definitely there's insecurity there, because why else would you put guards up, right? And the cost of the guard is you've protected yourself, but you've also isolated yourself. And people in these relationships will end up starving other people of their presence and time, because they will make time and space as massive constraints in life. They will never have enough time, they will never have enough space to carry people fully. And I was watching all of this and I was like, this can't be it. So let's try. And it's taken me almost like 40 odd years to kind of drop as many layers as I've dropped, and I will end up dropping more. And just like everybody else, I started off overcoming my childhood, and but I found enough internal tools along the way, and story being a large part of it, creativity being a large part of it. It had nothing to do with the jobs I had, the relationship I was having, and nothing. And as you drop the layers, the money I made, the gender I was, the caste I came from, nothing, none of that actually really mattered. Although where I came from gave me 3 tools. It gave me the tool of courage, it gave me the tool of perspective, and it gave me the tool of the ability to overcome lack of any kind, and that is massive blessing. I mean, I can't take any credit for it. I came with it, right? But along the way, as I was watching these compartments, I was like, there is a true cost to this, and the only way to look at true cost is take some famous people and see what is the cost they paid for having compartments in their lives. So let's take 2 examples, because everybody knows them, right? So let's take the example of, for example, John F. Kennedy, the golden boy, the president, beautiful wife, beautiful family, etc. But he had compartments, right? There was a man who basically compartments the dark and the light side of this. So the cost of that was his body was broken. He died young. He got shot. He made sure that his position and his compartment of public life, despite being a private, weak person, made sure that generations before and after him have to carry on the legacy of Kennedy name. But where are the Kennedys? They're all dead, right? So I think the cost of compartmentalization is not just you; it's generations before and after who have to pay that cost. And let's be a little more cognizant of it. Nothing happens in isolation. So when you compartmentalize, it's not just about you. There are generations that you're affected, not just yourself. So that's JFK. Now let's take another example. Who else can we look at? Let's look at another famous person. Who else? Indira Gandhi. again, somebody who was so like who had everything actually, right? And she also lived in compartments, and she also had this personal and duty versus family, and she chose duty over everything else, and she metamorphosized as a person. She put up the gas, she left her softness, she left who she was as a woman or a girl. She left her girl, and look at the cost that she paid, not just with her life. Again, she has forced an entire family to carry on the legacy, which they may or may not want to carry. But that's what the cost of compartmentalization is, especially if you have fame and fortune. And as somebody who's actually seen fame and fortune very closely, actually I'm very unimpressed by it, number one, because I think the cost is too high. And while I understand the need for compartments, I actually don't defer to it. Whether you're famous or not, at any given point of time, you can choose to go back to being weird, and to overcome the fractures of the childhood, and to overcome the expectations of adulthood, and just be true to your own beat. And if you don't do that, the costs are for all of us to see. You can see that in the Queen of England. You can see that in what it has done to generations across. The reason I'm taking famous names is because we don't really, when we look at ourselves, we'll be able to say what if our grandparents were living a certain way, if our parents were living a certain way, they paid a price, right? You know, the perfect mother and the perfect father, the compartment of that, or the perfect employee, or the perfect CXO, or the perfect CEO, the cost of that, there is a true cost of that, which families pay, generations pay. If you become a little more mindful of that, would we still carry on living in apartments? I wonder. Do I? I try not to. Do I fall into it once in a while? But I think the massive unlock for me, other than the generational unlocking of making sure that no generation has to carry the cost of your compartmentalization going forward, is the unlocking of time and space. It has led to me creating a lot of time and space in my being. What that does is it changes what love means in my life, it changes what money means in my life, it changes what relationships mean in my life, it changes what health means in my life, it changes what connection means in my life. And those are deeper definitions, and they're vulnerable, and they are out there, and so weird. And but look at the beauty and the depth of this. So yeah, have compartments. Just be willing to know the true cost of